All right. So how many of you were able to go either watch when it came out last Thursday or go back and watch the session that Tom Ferry did that I sent out on Friday? Were you all able to go watch it? It's not a prerequisite for being in here today. If you were, find that participant tab and either hit that yes or raise your hand. That way I kind of know if you all saw it and saw what he was suggesting. And if not, I'm going to kind of give you a recap of what he suggested, and I thought it was a fantastic idea. So one of the things that he talked about, and yeah, some of it was slightly salesy, and you could tell he was trying to sell his coaching. But one of the things that he was talking about doing was sending out, and it's something that I've thought about and just couldn't quite get over the hurdle in my head of how you execute this. And it's a pretty simple concept. He was talking about, everybody right now wants to know, they're hearing that the real estate market is good. They're hearing that, this morning driving in, I listened to talk radio, and they did a quick piece interviewing an agent locally about the market and how frustrated buyers were, multiple offers on everything. And so people are hearing that, they're paying attention right now to what's going on, with the economy and obviously with the real estate market, and wondering what's going on with their biggest investment, their house. That's a question that we get asked all the time now. We've always been asked the question, how's the real estate market? And right now they're asking us that because, they want to know what values have done in the last, 4 months, 6 months or so. Have they been affected by COVID? Have they been affected by what's going on, in the economy in general? And he had a great concept of, sending out an email using your COI, whether that's past clients, people that you've been, trying to work with that maybe haven't bought a house from you in the past, but, just your sphere. Who are those people? And, they probably want to hear from you, and more importantly, want to know what's going on with their house values. So the concept was easy, and that is you're going to send an email to those people. You're not going to do it to everybody at once. He made the joke that he's got one client that he coaches that has like 70,000 people in their COI. We're not sending out an email to 70,000 people, or, if you've got 500 in your COI, you're not going to send it out to everybody at once, or you'll do nothing but live CMAs for the next 4 months. But pick maybe your top 10. Start with that group. Figure out, who you haven't talked to in a while, or maybe those that have asked you in the last couple of weeks, as you have been making your calls and talking to them. Really make an offer to them to sit down with them virtually for about 10 to 15, 20 minutes and do kind of a live CMA with them. And his concept, let me share my screen here. So, yeah, it's that one I want to share. So the concept was to send this email out to your sphere to basically give them an offer. I'm trying to get to the right email here. Oh, I don't want to be down there. There's the right one. So an email that looks something like this. Are you curious about the current value of your house, of your home? The wording that he used, I wasn't crazy about for myself. The wording that he used was to send out an email that, and you can see on the subject here. Let me put it kind of in full screen for you. He wanted you to put in the subject line, curious about your home value pre and post COVID. I didn't like that language personally, because I don't feel like we're post COVID yet. I feel like we're in COVID, right? So I created this little graphic to put at the top of an email, kind of like the template that we would use if you're sending out something from your CRM, whether that's Home Suite, Market Leader, whatever. But to send this out with a simple email to your COI that, mine says, I hope this finds you well. I've been asked many times over the last few months about the real estate market and the impact COVID has had on home prices. I realize you likely have the same curiosity in regard to your home. I would love to offer you a 15 to 20-minute session where I'll walk you through some historical values, show you the real-time MLS data, that's supposed to say data, in your neighborhood, good thing I haven't sent this out, and share what the smartest housing economists are saying about future home values. You offer to do these 15-minute sessions, and all of a sudden you're going to start, as you work through your COI, yes, you've got people that are tire kickers that just want to know, which is fine, that just want to know the value, and you can provide that to them. But you're also going to find some people that are maybe surprised at what their current house value is. And now all of a sudden you're having a conversation about what they need to do to their house to get it listed. You know, everybody's in the same boat here, and you all know that inventory is a huge issue right now. And the more inventory we can go out there and find, the better off we're all going to be, for the sake of our buyers and for the sake of the market. So what a great way to kind of start cultivating some of those clients that maybe have been on the sideline. Maybe they have, you know, they've thought about selling but had no idea what their house value looked like, what that might, you know, mean for them in real numbers. So what a great simple concept to be able to go out and start cultivating and produce some new listings. Any comments or questions so far before I kind of work backwards and go through how to put this together? Anyone? Feel free to unmute yourself or use the chat, either one. All right. Hearing no comments. Shannon, you've got your hand up, but I think it was from earlier, so I'm going to take it down. Unless you have a question. If so, just unmute yourself. We're a small enough group that feel free to unmute. So after hearing this and, you know, really thinking it through and going, okay, this is a pretty simple concept. You know, how can I show you all how to execute this? Because a lot of times we hear these things on these webinars, and it sounds like a great idea, but then they never get executed, or we never take advantage and do them. So I wanted to kind of take you through right now the steps of how we take that idea of reaching out to your COI and really implement it. So I'm going to walk you through the steps, and we're going to move somewhat quick, but I'm going to walk you through the steps of how you would implement his suggestion and how you end up with an email that looks like this that's going to go out to your COI. So the first thing that I did is I went into Google Docs and started typing my email. And I literally sat there with his video and kept hitting pause, and used the exact same verbiage because I liked it that he used in the body of the email right here. And I am going to share this. Oh, let me go back. I hate how they've redone this share button. I'm going to put this in chat. There is a link to this. So if you want to pull it up right now on your computer and follow along, you can. If you want to use it later and just copy it, make a copy of it and customize it to your language, how you would talk to your sphere. I think it's key that we don't make this thing too long and complicated. You know, make it short and sweet. But I just started typing and came up with this verbiage. And then I did use his suggestion, which I really like. I still need to go in and figure it out. And we're going to look at, we're going to kind of figure it out together using this Calendly, I can't even say the word, for people to schedule these sessions with you. If you're sending this out to 10 or 15 people at a time, you don't have time to go back and forth with them over email to figure out what 15 minutes, you know, time block you all have available. So what Calendly does is it takes your schedule and you can pick times that you want to do these. So maybe you pick a couple hours during the day on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You pick some evenings where you know the kids don't have stuff going on or you don't have commitments. You know, and you can do these sessions. His suggestion, I think it's very wise, is to give yourself a buffer between these sessions. So if you're, you know, if you've got a lot of people that take advantage of this and that's the goal, don't book them every half hour, because what if you get into a conversation with somebody who starts asking a lot of questions and you start talking about listing their house? You don't want to have to cut them off to jump on the next session. And don't burn yourself out trying to do too many of these things in a row either. So you can absolutely take this part of this out and just, you know, use some verbiage like, you know, let me know when you might be available. Here are some times that I'm available, and give them some blocks of time that you're going to time block to do these sessions. And we're going to talk about too what you're going to do in these sessions. But again, I just use this Calendly. I went on and figured it out. So let's jump over there real quick and I'll show you what I did and we'll kind of figure this out together. First thing you're gonna do is sign up for an account, which I already signed up for one, so I'm gonna do my fake email address here. You don't have to pay for this. They've got a free version. So I'm going to input this. And again, it's Calendly. Let me give you the website. I just or Googled Calendly and got to their website, but I've just put a link into the chat for everybody. So I'm going to hit sign up with Google. I'm probably going to get a text message here. Gonna allow, it's gonna want access to your Google Calendar, which is fine. And then you can choose what you want your URL to be. And it's not just for this. You can use this for a lot of things. You can use this for, you know, scheduling board meetings or, you know, listing appointments with clients in the future or showings or whatnot. It's a pretty cool, I've seen it before. I've had people that I've scheduled appointments for. I've been on the user end of it, but I've never created one myself. So they're pretty cool, but you can see this one wants to give me just my email address for this. This is a fake email address, but it's Sam Agent. The one that I created and sent out, you can see where this shows up in this URL. The one I did previously was KC Christian Realtor. So on this one, we'll just use Sam Agent, but you can change this if you want to, and if you want to capitalize it, nope, you can't capitalize it, sorry. It'll tell you if it likes what you're doing or not. So we're going to customize that. Again, you're going to use that repeatedly, not just for this, but for other things. So be cognizant about what name you put in there or how you set that up. If you don't want it to sync with Google Calendar, you can edit this right here. Or if you want it to sync with another calendar. So if you've got multiple calendars, if you've got a personal calendar or work calendar, it will sync with whatever calendars you choose. So you're not creating conflicting events. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Again, I'm kind of learning this with you live right now. I played with it a little bit on Friday. So this is where you're going to set your availability for most days. And then you can set this up individually too. So most days people can schedule meetings with me, let's say from 9 to 5, if those are kind of my working hours. It defaults to not having Saturday and Sunday, which is fine. Choose one of these. I don't think that really messes too much with your setup. I think they're gathering data there. So on here, if I wanted to do 15-minute meetings, I'm going to go, I can't remember how I did this before. This is how you do it. Okay, let me go back and show you how I got here again. So if I go to this little settings cog up here, I'm going to schedule these as 30-minute meetings. So I'm going to go here to the 30-minute and go to the settings cog. And I'm going to go to edit. And this is going to be home valuation meetings. And then the location there, I can set it for a Google Meet or a Zoom right here, which is kind of nice. So I have Zoom, so I'm going to use Zoom. And I would have to connect it to Zoom. And then I'm going to have this, I don't want it to say 30-minute. I'm going to have it say home valuation. Whatever color I want to assign it, let's assign it green. I'm going to save that. And then when can people book this event? So this is where you come into the site and tell them, okay, here's where my availability is. So the event duration is going to be 30 minutes. Even though these conversations are only going to be about 15 to 20, I'm going to book it as 30-minute meetings. That way the client, the potential client, blocks out 30 minutes of their time. And then down here, I can set by clicking on the calendar when I'm available. So maybe today I want to be available for people to book 5, not a.m. I'm not doing these things at 5 a.m. See if I can type correctly. 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And then I can say to apply this to this day only or all Mondays. I'm going to apply only to today. So that's when I'm booking these. Are you all following? Is this making sense for everybody how you would set this up if you choose to do it this way? All right, if you're still with me and you can hear me, okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Rebecca. I appreciate it. I got a thumbs up from Patty. All right. So I'm not going to go through this whole setup. If I want to add some other availability this day, I think I can go here to apply to, hold on. Try to figure out how you can add multiple times. Oh, there we go, new interval. So if I want to be available from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. as well this day, I can set the times there that I'm going to be available. And once I have all my times set up, and I might do it for like the next 2 weeks if I'm sending this out today. I don't want them to book something 30 days from now. We now want to get the link for this. Once we have it all set up, we can get the link for this to send out with our email and put on our form letter that we're going to send out. I'm going to go to view live page, and I can copy this link. This is what it's going to look like when they get it. So if they select the 15th, these are the days that, or these are the times that I set up for today, they would select one of these times. You've got some other bells and whistles here you can do. You could have them, you want them to put in their name and email address. If you want to ask another question like their property address, you can. I probably wouldn't. I'd probably see if I can't, if I don't have, hopefully if they're my sphere, I've got their property address. And for some reason I don't, there are definitely ways that we have to be able to get that right. Notifications and cancellations. If I want email reminders for them and for myself, I can set that up. Text reminders. And then you also have a confirmation page that you can customize. So after they schedule their appointment with you, you can have a customized confirmation page. Again, this is a lot of bells and whistles on here. I haven't used this in the past, but there, I mean, you can do a lot with this, and not just for this, you can do this for a lot of your time blocking, right? It's a pretty cool little thing here. So I'm going to go back to the home page. And for this, now I've got this one set up. I'm going to hit copy link. And then when I go over here to this form letter, I'm going to take out Christian's link. I'm going to delete it and put my own in. So that's how you would do that step if you want to use that platform, which I think is pretty handy. That way, again, you don't have to go back and forth with the client 8,000 times to try to figure out a time, a 15-minute time that that works for them. They can go in and schedule the time, and then you confirm it with them, and off you go. Again, try to give yourself a buffer, you know, in between these meetings. Don't try to schedule, you know, 12 of them back to back, or you're going to be exhausted, believe me. And you are able to integrate your Google Meets, your Zoom, and that way when they get that confirmation, they would then have the link to join you on those meetings, which is pretty handy. Any questions about using that Calendly site, either for this purpose or any, before we kind of move on to the next step? All right. So the graphic up here, you don't have to have a graphic. I went into Canva. Of course I did, because I'm a Canva geek, right? And I just created my own email header. So, you know, this is what it ended up looking like. I was toying around with either this one or the one below. For those of you that are Canva users, for those of you that aren't, this is, I know that I'm going to go fast on this and you might, I might lose you, but for those that are Canva users and want to create your own header, excuse me, I just went into to Canva, and if you search right here for a design, they actually have an email header that sized correctly. And I just chose a blank one. And then I went to photos and just searched real estate and came up with all sorts of photos. It took me, again, a rabbit hole. It took me forever to find just the right photo. I think I even did real estate valuation to try to find something that would show, you know, be consistent kind of with the theme of the email. But once I had that done, we'll go over here. We're going to download that as a PNG file. I only want page 1. I don't want that second page. Let me just delete this. Once it's downloaded, you can just drag it right into where you want it to show up on your letter. So I want it to be right at the top. Becca asked, does BHG have a usable email header? They sure do. Yeah, in that new marketing center on through BHGRE, they have email headers. I went in there last week and found one. Now, I'm a lot, because I haven't used that site a whole lot and it's brand new. I'm much faster in Canva because I know exactly where to look and what to do. But if you want one that's kind of already made for you and has your branding and your marketing on it, absolutely use that new marketing center. They've got email headers in there. And why don't I jump over there real quick? Hopefully I can log in, and let's jump into there and I'll show you where you find that. All right, everybody say a little prayer here as I log in so we can actually get into Greenhouse. If not, I've got a back door that we can use for the Market Center, which is kind of nice. I just haven't bookmarked it yet. Come on, hamsters, spin faster. Let me in. Let me use my little, oh, clicked on the wrong one. Okay, there's my little backdoor link. It actually worked. Here, I'm going to share this with you in the chat, and you can bookmark this. Secret, you can bypass Greenhouse. It's going to ask you to log in if you haven't logged into Greenhouse that day. It'll ask you to log in, but you can bypass having to go into Greenhouse. So this is the new marketing center, and right down here, this is a home page, and this is where I found the email header when I was just kind of poking around here last week. It's right here under emails. So if I go to emails, I'm going to create a new document, and I want to use, these are all email header templates. So again, these, I haven't played around with this enough to be able to add, like, you know, on my little template, I've got, are you curious about the current value of your home? I haven't played around with them. I know you can customize the photos and all sorts of good stuff in here. I just haven't played around with it enough to be quick at it. I'm much quicker in Canva than I am in here. But if I click on, if I want to use like the cloud one, I could go in here and actually type in whatever I want to. This is showing me an office. instead of my headshot. This is showing me all the logos. I wonder what happens if I go to my images. I'm just playing around with this. There's my headshot. Once you get done playing around with this and customizing, it's pretty easy to use. It's pretty easy to use. You just go right here to download. And I want to download this as a PNG file. And then if I wanted to use this instead of this one, I'm just going to drag it and put it right up here. So yeah, you get the same effect with either tool. You can use Canva, you can use the new Marketing Center, you get the same effect. If you're not quick or not familiar with Canva, the new Marketing Center is going to give you a nice little template there that is super simple just to plug and play. And you don't have to use a template here or an image here at the top. I know Alex is on here and he convinced me when the home suite came out not to use these graphics because they oftentimes, for some of the big email servers, get treated as spam. I like, for the purpose of this email, I kind of like the graphic. Let me get the correct one back on here. Give me just a second. Okay, any other questions about how to get the body of your email written using a graphic if you choose to do that? You will notice on my form letter that I have here, I went ahead and put this in. I'm going to show you where I found that and why it's there. The reason that I have it there is because I'm going to use this in Home Suite. We're going to jump over there. I'm going to show you how to do this. And if I'm going to send it, unless I want to send it individually to clients, if I want to send it to a group of 15 or 20, I don't want to have to go in and send 15 or 20 emails. I want to select all those people and send this to everybody. And I know that this formatting is what puts their first name into emails. I'll show you where you can find that over on Home Suite, but trust me, that's the coding that you want to use if you're going to use this in Home Suite as a form letter. That's why that's there. Now, if you were just going to copy this and do it in Gmail, you could. I'm just highlighting everything. Let's copy it. Let's see what happens. I haven't even tried this. When I go over to Gmail, of course, I'd want to take out that coding. It's going to look real funny if I send somebody, well, one of my friends an email and it says, hello, first name. You could take out the first name if you wanted to and blind copy a whole list of people on this. I think that's a little impersonal. You know, you really want this email to feel, they're going to know that you're sending this out to multiple people, but let's see if we can make it as personal as possible. But you can take, once you get your thing, once you get your, you know, the body of your email, once you get this set in Docs over here, Google Docs, you can copy this then and paste it wherever you want to. So we pasted it in Gmail with a simple highlight, right click, copy, and come over to Gmail and paste. If you want to come over and put it in Home Suite, I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's go over into Home Suite. Before I move on, anybody have questions so far or anything they want to bring up or an idea that you have on how to make this quicker, easier? Okay. Complicit silence. I like it. All right, so let's go over to our back end. And I'm going to click on the hamburger and I'm going to go into CRM. First thing I'm going to do is show you how you can email this to clients individually. Okay, so if you want to, if you've got your form letter here, again, we're going to copy this just like we did for Gmail. We're going to highlight everything, right click and copy. And then I can come right over here into the back end and I'm going to go into my Faker account. If I click on them, I'm going to go to the magic box right above their head or right above their name here. And I'm going to hit email. And I can put my cursor right down here in the subject or in the body. And the right click you'll notice doesn't work. So what you want to do is do Command V, and Command V will paste it. So there's my email. It's there, ready to go. I've replaced this. with my link. Don't forget to do that. You don't want them to try to schedule a session with me. You know, customize this. If you're not going to use Zoom, if you're going to use Google Meets, you know, tell them what platform you're going to be doing. You could say we could do this in, you know, we're going to do this in a virtual setting. You don't have to be that specific. Once I have this pasted in here, I want to change the subject, whatever you want to do. Curious about your home value pre and post COVID. Again, I'm not crazy about that language, but we're going to use it just because that's what Tom said to use. If I want to blind copy myself on here, I'm going to do that. Don't carbon copy yourself, always blind copy. And then because I already have this graphic up here, make sure you do not choose a template. If you choose a template, you're going to end up with 2 graphics at the top of your email. It's going to look terrible. Not going to look good. So you can see right down here underneath the body, the tags here, this is where I got the coding to enter that first name. So if I want first name, if I wanted to be real formal and put their last name too, I could put the last name. I'm not going to do that because I'm, you know, pretty informal. Be weird if my sphere got an email from me that said, hello, Alex Gearing. They think I was weird. Okay, so it's automatically going to fill in the first name for this client. This is a one-off. I'm just sending it to one person. I'm not going to attach anything. Again, do not select a template. You already have one if you put a graphic in here. If you don't want to create a graphic and you want one of the pre-built ones for you, absolutely fine. Take out this graphic and use one of the pre-built ones that marketing's already done for you and save yourself a step. Maybe I want the Kansas City skyline one. Let's see what this one looks like. I'm going to go ahead and hit send. And this email has now gone out to my lead, my contact. Let's go over here and see what it looks like. Oop. Your client doesn't see the big orange box. That's just you as the agent. It's because I'm sending an email to myself. But here's what it looks like if I use marketing's skyline template versus one I've created. Absolutely fine. You can skip that whole step if you'd like to. I wanted to create one that kind of flowed with the content of the message. But you can do it either way. Any questions on that? The next thing I'm going to show you is how you can send this to multiple clients at once. So if you've got a list of people, you know, your 15, 20 that you're going to send this to, how you can send it to them all at once instead of having to go in and find them individually. Before I do that though, does anybody have questions on what we just went through? Okay. If you want to send this to multiple people, there's a couple ways that you can do this. First, I'm going to show you probably the easiest way to do it. It might not be the most efficient, but it's going to be the easiest. We're going to go to action mode right up here, this little check mark, and we can select the contacts, everybody that we want to send this to. So once I have everybody selected that I want this to go to, I'm going to come up here to the top and I'm going to hit email. And now I'm sending an email to the 6 leads that I've just selected. All 6 of them are going to get this email. This is when having that bracketed first name will come in handy because it'll automatically put whatever, all 6 people put their first name in there. And again, I'm going to do my Command V there to paste my email that I've already written. I'm going to type in a subject. If I want to blind copy myself, I can. And then down here, I'm not selecting a template. I'm going to use my graphic this time. that auto-filled for my name. And then I'm going to hit send. I'm not really going to do it. Otherwise, real life people are going to be getting this email with the wrong calendar invite. That's how you can send it to multiple people. Now, question, and I'll go with the majority of the group. I can show you real quick how to, and again, this is going to be recorded, so you can go back and do this again, but I can show you real quick how you could save this email, how you could save this in your pre-built messages. So you know this long list of messages that you get, they're pre-built emails that have been done for you? If the group wants me to, I can show you how you can actually save this email so you don't have to copy and paste. When you want to send it to your next 15 to 20 people, it'll be in here and ready to go for you. Does anybody want me to show you how to do that? Either give me a thumbs up or check mark or something. Okay, I'm going to show you how we do this. So I'm going to back out of everything. Okay, I'm going to go somewhat fast. If you have questions, stop me, and I'll go back through it again and show you. Again, this is being recorded, so you can always go back and watch the recording here, and pause me and step through this by yourself. So I'm going to my hamburger, and I'm going to go back to the CRM. And over here on the left-hand side, I'm going to go to form letters. So we're going to click over here, left-hand side, we're going to go to form letters is what we're going to do. So in form letters, this is a little confusing, but a very important step. Every time I come in here and haven't been in here for a while, I forget about this step. So these are your categories of form letters. These are the ones that have my name in front of them. Those are already pre-built for me. Marketing did these. You should have a whole list where it says Scott Golden Buyers, Scott Golden Client Connect. We're not going to add a category. What we want to do is add a form letter. So up here at the top, you'll notice next to categories, there's form letters. So to add a form letter, we're going to click there. These are all the form letters that are currently in the system for you. I want to add a new one. To do that, I go right up here, just like when we go down to search for a client, right up here in the upper right is this plus button. So I'm going to add a new form letter. Again, I went to form letters, and then it defaults to open as categories, but I clicked on, you've got to click on form letters. Just a nuance, it drives me nuts. Can't do anything about it. Make sure you're in form letters, and then you're going to hit the plus button. And you need to give it a title. Whatever you title it, that's what's going to come up when you hit that pre-built message box. This is what's going to come up in that long list. So title it something that is memorable that you'll remember what it is. I'm going to title it COVID Home Valuation. COVID will remind me when I did this. Would really help if I could spell. And then I've got to select a category. So I've got to put it inside of a category. I'm going to put this inside of sellers. Actually, I'm going to put this inside of Client Connect. I want it to go in Client Connect category. So I've selected, I've titled it, I've selected my category, and then down here, I'm going to paste my letter, my form letter. Do not check this, share this form letter box. If you share this, you're sharing your form letter with everybody in the company. Don't select that box. That's how you might end up with, when you go to pre-built messages, you might end up with somebody's welcome email. And that's why, because they check the box. So don't check the box, okay? And hit save. Now your form letter is saved. So let's go back out of here. Let's go back to our CRM. And how do we use this? Let's go back down to my fake account. I'm going to click on the magic box and hit email. And now down here in my pre-built message list, remember I put it under Client Connect? Here are your categories right here. So let's find the Client Connect category. Where is it? Here it is, Client Connect category. And then there it is, COVID home valuation. If I select that, look, oh my gosh, it's magic. There's my email. Now I can still make changes to this if I want to. And I need to come up here and put my subject in. Again, I can blind copy myself if I want to. Don't select a template if you've created your little graphic, don't do that. And then you hit send. And again, you can do the same thing to multiple contacts. You can go to your action mode and you can select the people you want to send it to and then hit email up here and blow past all this under pre-built messages. It was down here to Client Connect, COVID home valuation right there. Do my subject, I hit send, and I'm done. Pretty quick and easy to send out this custom form letter. And now you have access to it. So once you work through your first 10, 15, 20 people, whatever you choose, you can now come back in, you know, maybe towards the end of next week, you come back in and you go through this process again and you pick your next 10 to 15 people to send this out to. And this is already in here for you. You don't have to go back through the steps of the copy paste. Either way works just fine. It's a matter of what your comfort level is, you know, saving that form letter and doing that. But that's how you save form letters, whether it's this one or something you want to create in there. Okay. Little tip that I want to give you that as I thought about this and just the, you know, how this is going to work for you all with your clients. Not everybody is going to take you up on doing one of these 15-minute sessions, right? Some of them are going to say, well, I'm really curious about my value, but I really don't want to sit down for 50. I don't have time to do this. I don't want to do it. So my recommendation is that you can do it in this email, your original email. I wouldn't recommend doing that for a host of reasons, but I would, for those that didn't respond to this, or maybe they respond and say, thanks so much, Scott, for the offer. I really appreciate it. My schedule's just tight the next couple of weeks, or, you know, whatnot. Offer to set, and as a follow-up to this, offer to set them up in one of our best underutilized tools, and that is Home Compare. So not only are you going to do this live session with them for 15 to 20 minutes where you walk them through MLS and show them, basically they kind of get a behind the scenes look, right, at how we do a comps analysis, and you show them what's going on inside their neighborhood. But then as a follow-up, you can set them up inside of Home Compare and offer it to them as a way, you know what, you really have access to this information, Mr. Seller, potential seller. I can set you up in Home Compare and you can pay attention to what's going on inside your neighborhood anytime you want to. And put them into Home Compare then, and you know, it's another touch point. It's another way for them to connect with you and for you to position yourself as the real estate expert. So Patty asked privately, what kind of information are you sharing with clients? And that's what we're going to spend a few minutes on, our last couple of minutes together here. Before I move on to that, any questions you have about what we've covered so far and how to implement this? I think the critical piece right now is for you to implement this, to do something, whether it's just something you send out in Gmail, it's a simple, or you know, you get elaborate with it and you do the calendar invite for easy scheduling, you send a fancier form letter, whatever that looks like for you, just do something. Do something. Again, I've shared, and I'll put it in here again, the access to my Google Doc that I've created, that I've been showing you and copy and pasting. You can take that, copy and paste it, or make a copy of that and edit, make it your own, but at least it gives you some starting point. So you really don't have an excuse not to do something here, right? Does everybody agree this is a really good way to start cultivating some business and specifically some listings? I think it's a fabulous way to do that. Fabulous way to do that. So what are you going to share with them? once you get them on this call. You need to share with them what you told them you were going to share with them, and that is historical values. So with our historical values, we're going to go into, you're just going to show them some stats. We're going to go into matrix. And I'll show you real quick, and I'll do a separate video on this. It's on my list anyways of one that I need to do, and that is how to pull market stats in MLS. By the way, they're doing one of these tomorrow that I was going to show you, because this could be a really good piece as to what you're going to show them. You're going to do a live CMA with them, right? These seminars that they're advertising right now from Cloud CMA, sometimes I shy away from their seminars because it's really just a product demo and they try to sell you stuff, but those might actually be worthwhile to show you how to do a live CMA in Cloud CMA. First thing we're going to do though, sorry, squirrel, is our stats. There's a couple of different stats we can show them. We can always take them into MLS, or you can start by going to kansascityhomes.com, get them onto our website here, right? And then under, where is it? The About Us, our Better Living blog. Depending on when you're doing these, where is our market stats? Usually they're right up here. They must not be up there yet. Let's go back to, I'll go back to one of the old ones. Here's an April one. The new one should be up there. Why it's not showing, I don't know. These are posted on May 12th, but you can always take them into here and show them our stats and show them this information. So we can either come into here, or you can also, that information is pulled from, hopefully you can see what I'm clicking on here. Under your external links at MLS, your monthly indicator and local market reports. If I click on that, I go over to the KCRAR website and I click on May, and here are the reports. You've got this monthly indicator, kind of a quick overview. Why won't it let me scroll? You can either pull the full report here, which I would not recommend doing. A lot of this is going to depend on your client and how nitty gritty you want to get with them. I would spend a ton of time on your historical. Show them a quick snapshot and then move on. Don't pull up this full report. Otherwise, your 15-minute meeting is going to be 15 hours. But I can click into Johnson County, and I might have this ready to go on a tab before I even get them on the phone. But I can show them just kind of a snapshot of, year-to-date information. Let me see if I can zoom this just a little bit. And I'm going to show them, our year-to-date, what happened in May, and then our year-to-date, kind of current state of the market here. And this shows you some historical here on average sales prices. So just show them a snapshot of our current local stats. And then I can go into, I can say, let's go a little bit deeper. Let's look at your neighborhood. That showed you all of Johnson County. Let's look at your neighborhood. So I'm in MLS, and let me get this bigger for you. I'm going to go right up here to stats. And I'm going to go residential, and I might do that. I'm going to do this while I'm talking to them, just like I'm doing it with you right now. So I go to stats and go to residential, and I've got to put in my criteria here. I want to see historic sales price trend. Okay, that's what I want to see. That's what I want to show them, just kind of what a price is done in their neighborhood. So I'm going to click on that first, and then I'm going to click on, I want just single family. And I'm going to just click on their subdivision, Prairie Fields. Let's pull that. Now then, if I click this drop down, not there, up here, sorry. These are presets. If I go to customize, I can select, do I want the past 10 years? Do I want the past 12 months? Let's just show them the past 12 months. And I want it to be a smooth line. We're going to group by month. If you're going back further than a year, do not group by month. I'll show you why. Your stats graph, it's going to be a disaster. Sort by year if you're over 12 months. If it's just a 12-month period or any less, you can go by month, okay? So I've selected the past 12 months. I want median sales price. I don't like average. It throws things off. And I'm grouping by month, and I'm going to hit generate. And there's our trend. And then if I click up here, data, this shows me the data. So what's happened in the last year? Did we see a dip in March? Well, yeah, we did. Good thing you weren't trying to sell your house then. But look at how well it's rebounded. Look at what's happened. That's a big jump. Big jump. Sometimes you're not going to get meaningful information in their neighborhood. If they're a neighborhood where there's only maybe 10 to 15 houses a year that are turning over, you might want to go back to search here and do their zip code instead of their subdivision. Again, that's going to be based on where they live, turnover. If it's a big Prairie Fields, it's a pretty big subdivision. And even there, it was giving me the yellow at the bottom that said there's, too few homes to chart meaningfully, even with 44. So I might pull the whole zip code, show them what happened in the zip code. And I'm going to do the past, I want to do the past 2 years. I'm going to hit generate. And then the graph is fine for, for visual. I like going to the data and being able to point out specific months to them. So, and is that dip in March, is that seasonal? Did it happen last year? Does it happen every year where we see a dip in March? Or did it happen this year because of COVID and because of everything that was going on? So we can kind of see how it's been trending in 2020. Now remember, I just pulled the zip code, not their neighborhood. So the neighborhood, remember, it dipped quite a bit in March. It was probably maybe 1 or 2 houses that threw all those numbers off because there's just so few for it to really chart and give you some meaningful numbers. Your zip codes, your feeder schools, your MLS area, that's getting a little bit big. I'd probably stick to zip code. That'll give you some pretty true, meaningful numbers when you're looking at historical information. This is what you want to show them. And pull this before you get on the call with them. And have kind of some notes for yourself on some, you're gonna pull this up and it's gonna look like you're doing this on the fly, right? But you're gonna have some notes that you've written ahead of time, point out, where we were at a year ago in May, where we're at now. So you've got some talking points, 1 or 2 bullet talking points before you actually get on the call with them or the virtual meeting with them.
So Christian, so the sale price in March would not be effects of COVID because those are houses that went under contract most likely prior to. So absolutely. You're going to possibly, where you're going to see a dip in prices is May if it's going to be COVID affected. Is that correct?
That is very correct. Yes. Very correct. And that's what you see here is that dip. That's what you see here is the dip.
I had one other question. Instead of typing it all out, can you, this is amazing. I've never been in the stat category, so I'm so excited. But
oh my gosh, I love it. I'm a stat geek.
So can you do can you pull a map and put a geographic? Can you instead of doing by zip code or by subdivision, can you do it? Oh, never mind.
Yeah,
thank
right
you.
Up here. You can search almost like you do in MLS, right up here. You just have to be careful because if you get too narrow on stuff, let me pull back up Prairie Fields because it was showing me. I want Prairie Fields, not Prairie Field. Just be careful because when you get too narrow, it is going to, let me show data here. Oh, hold on. Go back to customize. Let me just do the last 12 months. See this yellow bar down here? It's too many to chart meaningfully. You don't have enough, you don't have enough sample, you don't have enough houses. So you're gonna have to get broader in your search. So if you're getting that, you probably have a couple houses that are throwing all of this off. Like this May, that's probably one house that sold at 199. It's probably not indicative of the entire neighborhood or the entire area. But that's what I would be showing them for historical data. I know we're bumping up here on 2 o'clock. We've lost a couple people. If anybody has to bug off, you're not going to offend me. But this is what you're going to show. I think this is probably the most important thing to show you, thing you're probably least familiar with, is how to pull these stats and what to pull. Now, you know these people better than I do, and you know who you're going to have, you might have to adjust this depending on who you're talking to. Anybody have any other stats that they've used that they think would be of value for the group? Showing stats would be valuable. I just posted a video last week about how to pull stats and showing time. You can show them what buyer traffic has been like. But again, you've got 15 minutes with them. You want to keep it as concise as possible. Be prepared if they do ask you those types of questions about showing activity and whatnot. But don't go down too many rabbit holes with them, and don't try to throw too much information at them in 15 minutes. Otherwise, you're going to overwhelm them. Maybe pick 1 or 2 stats to show them for historical. And then what you're going to do is flip over into MLS and say, okay, here's what's been happening in the last 2 years. Now let's look at what's happening now. So I'm going to go into detail, and we're going to pull active. Again, keep it pretty broad. Don't start going crazy. You don't want to overwhelm them with too much. So I'm going to pull that for the last 90 days. Here's your neighborhood. We're going to pull what's active. I wanted to pull contingent. What's active, under contract, sold. If I was doing a full CMA for you, these are probably the fields that I'd be focused on. This is what I'd be focused on. So let's see what activity has been like. Okay, up here we've got our active houses. These are the ones on the market right now. Oh, here's a reverse story and a half. This one probably compares best to yours. So let's check this one out. And maybe you pull that one up. Sorry, this is so big on my screen. And I'm not used to it being this blown up that I can't figure out where my buttons are. But maybe pick out 1 or 2 that you're going to highlight to show them that are best comparables to their house. The other thing that you can do that's going to be handy for them to give them an overview is do the select all right here. And then down here, stats, go to tabular. It's really your only option. And just show them a quick snapshot. So here's your averages, your min-max averages, days on market for the last, this is active listings, our pending and backups, and our solds. This is current. This is what I would be pulling if I was valuing your house right now. And walk them through this, and then show them 1 or 2 from your list of the best comparables. And then you're going to have your kind of narrative for them on the value, where you think they probably fall. It doesn't need to be exact. It doesn't need to be exact. You're just giving them a ballpark. If they want an exact, that opens the door for you to schedule a time to really do a full CMA for them. And maybe that's a question you can ask them at the end. You're like, I know I was really quick. I threw a lot of information at you. These are really just general, what's going on in the neighborhood, historical, what's going on today. If you want me to give you a full valuation, I'm happy to do that if you're thinking that now might be a good time to sell based on what you've seen. So don't feel like you've got to go through it like you would for a traditional listing appointment. This is really just a teaser, okay? Think of it as a teaser. So I'm going to show them that, and then I might show them a couple of articles that, from the last couple of days or the last week from, there's a great post last week that I would probably pull out if I was doing it this week. Let me see if I can find it real fast. posted here and in my research group. Again, I want to find these ahead of time so I'm not scrambling as I'm on the call with them. Here it is right here. So there's a big Federal Reserve announcement last week. You know, chief economist for National Association of Realtors said X, pull out a couple of sound bites on the housing market, you know, what's going on from our economists, you know, make sure it's a trusted source and make sure it's not a partisan, somebody that's going to, I don't care which way you lean, doesn't matter to me at all, but make sure it's not somebody that's polarizing that could make that conversation go sideways when you've got them live. Okay, what questions do you have? I know we're a couple minutes over here. I went through all of this really fast. Beck asked, what can I briefly discuss what the economists are saying for the future? I feel like they change what they say about every week. For the most part, my trusted source is this guy right here, Dr. Lawrence Yun. He's conservative. You know, he's kind of right down the middle on how conservative he is, but he is the chief economist for the National Association. So he has his ear to the ground, glued to the ground as far as what's going on across the country with our industry specifically. He's in contact not just with leadership, but with agents, with consumers from all parts of the country. Now, what he puts out are going to be national stats, but I trust his opinion. And you can go back and watch. This is why I'm such a geek when it comes to the NIR stuff, is I watch the stuff that he puts out, and I'll go back and watch the Residential Economic Issues and Trends Forum video that he did a couple weeks ago, because he gives his forecast. And he did it specific to what's going on right now and what he forecasts. Go back and watch that stuff. You can go on to nar.realtor and go to research, and they'll have all sorts of articles on there that you can pull from. But really what they're saying is, I mean, it's right here on the screen for you, that we're gonna continue to see the same type of market that we've seen with our supply and demand issues, and it's probably going to get worse because of the interest rates being as low as they are and with no sight of them raising. Now, will that start to plane out the buyers a little bit, where, you know, some of the buyers that are panicked right now thinking, I've got to go out and buy while money is cheap, will they start saying, you know what, maybe I'll sit on the sidelines and let this thing, you know, play out a little bit before I get back in, since they're not going to raise rates for a while, or they say they're not going to raise rates for a while. The impact that has on our market, you know, we'll see. This news obviously just came out in the last week, but you know, look at what people are saying, not just with the housing economy, but with jobs, job security. When those reports come out on a weekly basis, again, make sure your sources are credible. Make sure your sources are credible. And maybe this is an area that you aren't comfortable with. That's okay. Take this out. Take it out of your email and take it out of your 15-minute presentation to them. If you're comfortable talking about this, keep it in there. It's good information. If you're not comfortable talking about this, it's okay to peel this piece out. I think the critical pieces are going to be historical, showing what's happened in the last year, leading up to, and then what happened February, March, and then showing what's happening today in their neighborhood. If you don't pull in the economists, it's not the end of the world. Some people are just not comfortable. They don't feel like they've got a good enough handle on this topic, and that's okay. Okay, any other questions on how you're going to present this, or ideas on how you're going to present it? I know I covered a whole lot really, really quickly on how to implement this. Any questions before we wind down? Scott, you look like you were about ready to ask a question. Oh, are you good?
No, I'm good.
Okay, good.
No, I was just looking over. Actually, I started one of these this morning with the people in Colorado, the investors in Colorado.
Oh, very good.
Set up on the loop and sending them everything. So yeah, this is the
Excellent.
first time I've really used this site. So yeah,
Very good.
get a little preview before your
Yes, a little bit at a time.
yeah.
Very good. Anybody have any other questions or comments? I hope you will do something with this and implement it. Try it. Do it with one person maybe first. See how it goes and then fine tune it. But I really thought that it was a valuable, it was a good suggestion to help get us, help kind of churn some business and maybe get some business going for those that are a little bit slower, those that have, you know, people that are just dragging their feet, that maybe don't, you know, agents that just don't have a whole lot going on right now. What a great way to help drum up some business. Amy, I'm not sure how to answer that. I know that they're very involved on a government affairs level on both of those issues. Whether they'll come out and say anything about that, I seriously doubt it, since it doesn't necessarily have a direct impact on housing.